Okay, so Agile is was developed as a reaction to some of the stricter methods of the Waterfall method. Agile is way more collaborative, and it allows for you to move back and forth through a project, or to keep sort of refining a project as you go, as opposed to Waterfall, which sort of just you go all the way to the end and then you come back to make fixes. Um, so there are a few main types of waterfall, or sorry, a few main types of agile, and Scrum is sort of the one that I think is the most popular, where you hear about the most. And basically, what that is that you have a team of developers and product managers and anyone else involved in the project who move in sprints that are usually about 2 weeks long. And before you move into a sprint, all of the features and additions to the project are agreed upon, and then every time you work through the sprint. 2 weeks later, you go to do the next additions, and everyone agrees on them, and then you tackle the project that way. So basically, it's super collaborative because everyone's involved in each aspect of the project as it's progressing, and it allows for iterative changes as the product is being developed. There's something called extreme programming, which is where two people work in a pair to develop software, and I haven't really explored this in depth, so I'm just going from the book I'm reading. But it's apparently one person actually dictates what the code's going to look like, and the other one physically actually types the code out. And a lot of times the unit testing is actually done in advance of the code being written. So basically, you you fail the unit test, and your goal is to basically pass the unit test, and then passing the unit test, um, you're you're writing the code that's just lean enough to satisfy that unit test. So it's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. Again, I haven't explored it very much at all in depth, but I'd like to. So the idea behind extreme programming is that it reduces a lot of errors because you have two people in it, and looking at it the whole time. It breaks the code into small chunks, and you have a ton of code review as you're progressing through it. So, and then the last one I'm going to talk about is Kanban. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Kanban. Maybe Kanban. I think that sounds better. So it's a visual system where you track projects in vertical columns, and as they progress from left to right, uh, you have they're broken up into live, completed, different sections. There's no rule about how the columns are, but you can't move an aspect of a project into a right column until there's room for that. So you have to constantly be shifting things to the right, which means closer to being done. And as they're shifting to the right, you can move items from the left column into those rightermost right columns. Um, and I think it's a way to sort of visualize how a project's going, and to also manage the flow of the project so that you're not being overwhelmed in certain categories. So that's basically agile.